Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I am delighted to be in conversation with my next guest, a highly talented self-taught painter based in Montreal, Canada, whose work has been collected and exhibited internationally. Her vivid contemporary interpretations of classic paintings have garnered attention for their ability to capture the essence of how time changes while people remain the same. Please welcome Roxanne Sauriol Hauenherm. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for making the time. I think I'm starting to get those numbers up of the number of like Canadian-based interviews that I'm doing.
Oh yeah,
yeah, slowly coming up, or what have you. I think you might be the third or fourth person that's based up there. But as we get started, I want to open it up before we dive into the main topic to have you introduce yourself, give you the space to introduce yourself. And if you will, could you share maybe the highlight of your week so far? It's we're recording this on a Friday.
I introduce myself. Okay, so I'm Roxanne Sauriol Hauenherm. I have a French accent because I'm from Montreal, Canada. So my first language is French. And I'm a self-taught painter. And the highlight of my week is that my latest painting went semi-viral on TikTok. So I'm pretty happy about that. Like, grew a lot of followers. So that's always good.
That's great. And I love that Terminators, and it's like right there, right?
Yeah, it's right behind me. Yeah,
I was like, right so there, we're gonna be friends. Because I was like, hold on, is there a sci-fi reference here?
I think so.
And I'm glad that you actually said your name, because my pronunciation is so. Here's the thing, Roxanne. It just doesn't quite work. It's better with a French accent. So, you touched on, you're a painter. So this is such a gauche question, but I at least want to open it up with, so why art? Like, what drew you to become a painter and express yourself through that creative expression?
So basically, like, I was always kind of good in all the arts, like music. I did a lot of like singing lessons. I took like guitar classes. Art was just like always just came easy to me. So it's not really that I really chose painting. It's that at the moment when I had my daughter, I was 21 when I had her, and I was in maternity leave, and my life wasn't quite as I wanted it to be. And so I just started painting. Like at the same time I was like breastfeeding, and then I had like one brush in one hand and then a baby in another. And then I started doing that because it was cheap also. It's cheaper than, let's say, like sculpture or like producing music or like doing anything else. So I already had like a base in art, so I just pushed through basically. So it pretty much chose me more than anything else.
Thank you.
It was just like the most convenient thing at the moment. So that would be my answer.
Well, it's a great answer. I always like to tap back into like, I guess where I started at creatively or what have you. And I think when we have an interest in multiple things, eventually we kind of find the thing that fits what we're looking for. Whether it be, this is accessible, this is inexpensive, it doesn't take up all of this different space. And like I wanted to be a painter when I was younger, comic book artist when I was younger, and I'll get the whole, there's no money in that. So I was like, here we go. Yeah. And I had a job that I just didn't feel creatively like heard and seen and felt and all of that stuff. So I started doing a podcast around that time to kind of as my creative and expressive outlet.
Yeah. Yeah, it can get like really frustrating, like working and like not feeling that you're using your full potential. Like I was waitressing for a long time. Even like I was doing both. Even at the time when I was painting a lot, I would also like waitress or bartend during the weekends. And I just always felt like a frustration, first of all, having someone like above me telling me what to do. I just really don't like being told what to do. And so art was just like, I was just like doing whatever work I needed to do to make money until I could like free myself and like just have no boss and wake up whenever I want. And even if it's not like, it's not as chill as it seems, because like you're your own boss. So like you always feel a little bit of guilt whenever you take like 10 minutes to yourself, but like, yeah, but it comes with it. So.
I hear that. And I'm in that spot where I have both the creative work that takes up, a nice chunk of time, and that's the rewarding stuff. And then I have the day job, which I refer to more and more as this is my funder. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
funding my lifestyle, creative.
That's exactly what it should be, I think. Like even if you don't plan on becoming like a full-time artist, I think that you should, what makes you happy should be like, and your work should be if you need to fund what makes you happy in order to be making what makes you happy, just go do that. And then like spend as much time as you can doing what makes you happy.
Yeah. So tapping back into some of your earlier paintings, or have you, like, I definitely want to talk about process, but describe some of like the earlier paintings that you were doing when you were just starting out. Like, how were they? Like, what were the themes, and where you're at now in terms of themes and the focus of your work currently?
So they were always portraits of women. So that's the like common thread throughout my art career. And but they were like very, very different. It's like I had another idea of what art should be. And so then I was trying to make something that like was already existing, kind of like I was trying to do whatever people would consider art instead of just like doing my own thing, which is what art is. Like the better the artist, the more the artist is just doing whatever feels is right for him, like very selfishly also. So I was like, I mean, I did that for like a couple of years, and it's also like it's a lot related to like, oh well, if I take too big of a risk with my paintings, like maybe people won't take me seriously anymore. Maybe there will be judgment and everything. And so then it took me a while to be able to like free myself of that um, thinking loop, basically, and just like do whatever I thought was funny or clever, or and without thinking about like what people would actually, how people would actually receive it. So that's when my work started to change a little bit, like maybe 2 3 years ago, and it just became like more humoristic, more like honest, just more me, basically.
Thank you. It's important to find your voice. I like hearing. So walk us through the process, like when you're in that spot, like we talk about the sort of the ideation where you're coming up, you're gathering your thoughts and kind of how you want to do and what you want to do, what may work as far as this project or what have you. Talk about your process from like inception to completion.
Okay, so most of the time I'm kind of like I work quite fast, so I need like to produce ideas quite a lot. So I'll just like I don't know, I don't really have like a technical process, but like what I do, I'll try and look like back at old masters' work, and then if I find something cool to recreate, it doesn't really have to be like a really conceptual at first. And then from there, I'll like choose a model that I think would fit for the idea or like the vibe of the old painting.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll start like adding to it while I'm shooting. I'm just gonna like ask her to do like to laugh or to do other like maybe roll her eyes or things like that. And then from there, I'll like run it through Procreate on my iPad, and then I'll do like all the retouching and all like the background and like anything I need to add for the reference image. And then from there, I just paint from that reference image.
So who are who are the masters for you? Who are the sort of like reference like works that you're like, and you know what, I want to play with that. I want to play with this idea. I want to play with this use of color or this technique and apply it in your own way. Um, when I go through like questions or what have you, I want to get a sense of like who the person is. And then like, all right, what style of question do I want to ask? Like, if I go to someone who's always joking and then I'm just asking them the most academic possible question,
Yeah.
the interview is going to be really weird. So, when you're looking at like this is a thing that you want to do, like who are your influences? I guess that's a long-winded way of me asking that.
I'm not like, I didn't study art, so I'm not really like the best at like knowing art history and all that. But I'll be honest with you, I just literally scroll through Instagram and then I follow a bunch of like of art accounts, and then I just like I do what most people do with their day. I scroll, and then this is where I find my ideas, and also like I try and stay in touch with like what's happening at the moment and what are we talking about in culture and everything, and like I try to piece everything together and make like a mishmash of things. But that's not that deep. Like I'm not this intellectual, like really profound person. I'm more like, yeah, I'm more like everybody else.
No,
I'm your average Joe. Like I'm not like, I mean, I do paint, but that doesn't necessarily make me like an actual genius. Like I just learned a skill that is like that I think more like most people could potentially learn. I just like I'm a bit like uh obsessed when I like try and do something. I just really want it to work. So I become like hyper obsessed with one thing and then I just have to be good at it. But I think that's what made me be good at it in the end.
yeah. I think when I get hooked on something, like I have a data job in my day job, and I go by like how I learned how to do that, and I apply trying to learn something new as it relates to this, maybe learning a new software, learning a new mixer or what have you. And I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and figure this out, and I'm gonna go through the
Yeah.
YouTube videos, go through the like, what do y'all use? What do y'all use out there? It just
Yeah.
I mean, in part, this podcast, right? It's just me stealing from creative people who are more talented than I am. That's
Yeah, of
all
course.
it is.
Of course, we all do that. If you don't do that, you're not doing it right.
I love that. So I read this quote, about truth over ego, growth over comfort, spirits over prestige. Can you share a specific?
I love when people come at me with this because it's like it's so like sounds so profound, and
It
but
is.
I just like that like it comes in like three little sentences and it just sums up like quite a bit what my vibe is.
Mhm.
So truth over ego would be, I don't know, it's just to not to try to be like the most honest person you can be with yourself and with others, and like not be like scared of like bruising that ego that is like there to protect you but like also can get in your way. What was the other sentence? I'm sorry, like I
Uh,
don't even know.
spirits over prestige.
Okay, yeah, and then to just keep like a sense of humor in everything you do, and like not taking yourself like too seriously. Sometimes you look at like other artists and like they have this idea of other artists that is like inflated in their head, so like therefore they're like keeping that weird like persona also for them, but like it doesn't really serve them. It's much better to just be like your true self and just be authentic. That way you never miss, like you never you're always on point basically, and you can
It,
stay consistent.
that's it's so true. Like I encounter that on occasion where and I have a lot of conversations with folks, and I encounter that on occasion where it's just like, oh, you have all of these people telling you you're great, or all of these people telling you that you suck or that your work is this and so on. And you just have to realize why you're doing it, I suppose. So like,
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and you're doing your work because you enjoy it. You work fast, and you're curious, and you're really into the thing. Like you're spending a lot of time and working really fast and getting your stuff done. And I think that's irrespective of all of the other stuff that floats around. If it going viral is really cool, but then that wasn't the intent, I suppose.
No, no, the intent is just to basically that's my like new mantra is like by doing myself, like my being, like the most authentic way I can do, it like gives a blueprint for other people to also do that and like do whatever the fuck they want and not like shy out of like being themselves. Like that's the most happy you can be is like by just being truly yourself. So like when I have a lot of people that are following my work and seeing my work and being happy seeing it, it's not because like of course everybody wants to sort of be famous, like any artist or anyone that's in this business will want to reach as much people as possible. But where it comes from a place of like liberation
Yeah.
more than anything else. And like to just have people get inspired by my stuff.
And I
Yeah.
and I've gotten like this sense thus far in the conversation, as you said it earlier. I'm a regular Joe, ordinary person, and I like that, your work is often like noted for that levity and, bringing that to like contemporary art that has this sort of like venerated or pedestalized.
Yes, that was my word. I don't even think it's in the dictionary. I just made it up.
Well, see, now you're a wordsmith as well, but it has this vibe that is, I like that you're bringing levity to it. It has this, especially being self-taught, has this vibe of I'm not an art person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like it doesn't feel like it includes like folks like myself, for instance. It's just like I talk to people about it, but I don't consider myself an art person. I always
Yeah.
struggle with that. I'm just a guy looking to have interesting conversations, and I find like artists and creative folks tend to have like really cool conversations.
Yeah, well, that's important for me because like I just think that there's a lot of like bullshit people in this industry and it's just like art is not meant to be that. Like if you look at medieval art, it's just like the silliest stuff. And I don't think they were taking themselves very seriously back then. They were just like, I don't know, painting people, putting like stuff up their butt and like it was just so crazy. It was crazy the stuff they would do. And I just think that art like just became like this very like I don't know. I think it's much simpler than what we would like to admit.
Yeah. I think it excludes more people than it invites.
Yeah.
And I start thinking about like it's very weird. It's more of like what is it? I think called shunga art. The like dirty like Japanese art is like erotic art. It
Yeah.
looks really funny when you look at some of the images. I was like, is that your penis, sir? What is
Yeah.
this? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's hilarious.
it's like more of this, more of these pictures.
Yeah.
Right. He has
Yeah.
a dolphin coming out of his butt. This is great. This is amazing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So being self-taught, like I know that a lot of folks they're listed in that sort of level as well. Of we look at self-taught artists, regardless of the quality of the art, regardless of how much work they're doing, we don't look at them the same way. I think we're taught that self-taught artists aren't as good as they're not real artists, quote unquote. I don't agree with that. I don't believe in that.
I didn't know that. I thought it was the reverse. I thought that we were the coolest.
They're like that. What are some of the challenges that kind of present themselves, as in folks like taking your work and what you're doing like seriously and treating you in that way of, okay, Roxanne is an artist or what have you. Like talk about that a little bit, like some of the opportunities and the challenges of being self-taught.
Well, I wouldn't really know since I'm self-taught, so I didn't live through the experience of like being like academically trained, but I don't think I don't see it as a problem. I see it as a bonus actually. Like every time it's always mentioned, first of all, whenever I talk to anyone who's interviewing me, they're always like, you're self-taught, like as if it's impossible. So that's like that gives me like OG vibe, you know? So it's kind of cool. But I guess that if you want to make your way into like the art circles and like having having a degree in arts is probably like a shortcut, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna stay in, or you're gonna find your way like in a serious manner, or at least like for a long time, like for a long career, a long good career. So I don't know. I don't know. For me, so far so good. So I'll touch with some wood.
So check back in with me when folks are no, okay. uh, so having your work out there being collected and exhibited internationally, like how's that been? Like what has that experience been like, having your work in different like parts of the world and just being like essentially an international like brand or artist?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't do super well here in Canada. Like 90% of my stuff is going like overseas or to the States. So it's just like it's where my market is. So I don't really know anything else than that. But yeah, for sure, like the first shipping that I uh, the first painting that I shipped overseas was a huge deal. I was like, oh my God, I'm shipping a painting to Australia. And I had to like build like a wood crate. And yeah, so that was like that was a nice moment in my career. But after that, it just became like sort of routine. Basically, I'd rather sell here, because then it's just a bit cheaper for the clients, for the collectors, since they don't have to pay for shipping. Shipping can like get like really, really expensive for big pieces.
Is there a piece that comes to mind for you that it has like an interesting story attached to it, whether it was the process in which you were creating the painting? Was it a story that was attached to it? Was it even something like, I shipped this forever away, I shipped this the furthest away possible? Is there a piece that comes to mind that has like a specific, like really interesting like factoid about it or footnote?
In one of my pieces, I'm not sure which one. The one that comes to mind is a portrait of woman wearing the red flags of her past conquests. It's like the longest title ever, which is hilarious. And the woman I painted is just like internally losing her shit. Like you can see like her veins are popping, but like she still keeps like a poker face. And she just has like this huge like red turban over her head. And yeah, this one still has like a special place in my heart. It was like a very personal one. So, but I was happy she found a home, like in a happy home. And I'm in touch with the collector, so that's great.
It's wonderful. So I got two more real questions left for you. And this next one, this one you don't have. Yeah, this one you don't have. So I finally, creative folks, just to kind of like mess around and experiment and explore, you're able to like learn new things that you apply to ultimately what your process might be or what have you. Do you have that time to kind of mess around and explore? And I ask that because I think that's one of those, we touching back on the self-taught piece. I think that's one of those sort of like, like opportunities that sits there of, well, someone said this is the wrong way, but this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Learn that stuff through exploration. Do you take those sort of times to sit back and explore in the middle of your, doing your work? Tell me about exploration when it comes to your work.
I think that the entire like body of work, from like the first painting to the last one I did, is that exploration. I don't draw. I'm not very good at drawing for some reason. I find it just way easier to just block colors than like put lines. So my paintings are basically that process. But I did find it easier to take like risks in terms of like concepts, and like go a little bit more crazy with the ideas when I was dating my boyfriend at the time, which was very, very supportive. So that always really, really helps, just because artists don't necessarily make them much, like the most money in the world. So having a supportive partner really, really helps for that, like to be able like to breathe a little bit and like take that risk that you wanted to take but did not necessarily want to take initially. So that really helped me.
That's great. It's great having that support, like,
Yeah.
in that spot, and having, some folks are like, I'll date, like, why are you spending all this money on microphones? Why do you care?
Yeah.
But also it's like, I enjoy it. It's not drugs or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got this one last real question, and I got some rapid fire questions for you. I've been adding as we've been talking, so
yeah.
Those will be fun. But a piece of wisdom, something that you would share to folks that like want to just take the. I like the look on your face, by the way.
I got overwhelmed.
Very expressive eyes. It's really great. But
I don't have a poker face.
I don't either. Give me a piece of advice that you were impart upon someone who wants to like develop their own creative like voice and practice. Because what I've gathered out of this conversation is your work is very much yours. You're getting your sense of humor over, you're getting your ideas over, and you're doing it, and it's great. I dig your work. I'm a fan. So from that standpoint, yeah. What piece of advice would you share?
A piece of advice would be like, if I was to do it again, like my whole process, like throughout my 15 years of painting, I would immediately just start doing what like I find is hilarious or like weird, or I would cut like the bullshit basically, and I would like not try to make art as I picture what art should be, but just like make whatever I think is cool. Like what would my 8-year-old self would want to see like in a museum. Like I would cut to that, and then that would be my piece of advice.
It's great. It's great. It reminds me of one of the things that when back in the day and I was seeing a therapist, what have you, I remember one thing that he would tell me early on, because I would go in there and have my session, and he was just like, you can't send the representative. You can't send what you think people want from you. You have to just be yourself and be authentic. And I think that applies in various areas, whether what we're presenting ourselves as artists, as creatives, as people, and so on. I think being an authentic, cutting through the bullshit, as you touched on, and just kind of getting to like, why are you doing the thing that you enjoy? Yeah,
that applies to life. Like it's just something that everybody should be doing. It's just such a time saver. Like you're gonna be more successful doing exactly you than like trying to pretend to be something you're not, because it's not going to be the same flow. So it's just easier that way. It makes it easier for everyone around you also, to be honest, like your coworkers and everyone, like if they can see right through you.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be like glass.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yes and no, but yeah, I think like the most honest, the better.
Yeah. So that's kind of the end of the real questions. Now I got some rapid fire questions that your poker face or not poker face is going to be really thrown off. But as I'll put it always to folks, don't overthink these. These are fun questions. They're goofy questions, but they're fun questions. Okay. I'm going to start off with the first one. Have you ever painted listening to a particular song on repeat? Like you just listen to the same song over and over and over again while you're painting?
Oh, yes, I do that a lot. I do that a lot with like hardcore, like techno, sometimes like really like deep Berlin techno. That's when like my brain is like going everywhere and it needs like to shut up. So I'll do that, and then I'll repeat like the same song over and over and over, and then get into like that weird meditative state. But that's not like always. Like I'll listen to a lot of podcasts, audiobooks and stuff like that, and regular music also. But that's my little trick to get into the zone.
Yeah. I listen to like either music with no lyrics, either classical music or something that's instrumental. Like it will be anywhere from classical music to like house music to like techno music if I'm coding. It just feels like that's this background to coding.
Yeah, it's the best. Like me, techno is for when I do like the work on the iPad.
Yeah.
That's when I need like the most creativity basically, is when like I'm building the image up together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's,
I like to think I'm in the Matrix and I'm just like
exactly
just trying to figure it out.
Same.
What is because you touched on like you liking the weird stuff. What is the weirdest thing that's inspired one of your paintings?
The weird?
Yeah, the weirdest thing. Like, you've seen something odd in the streets. You're like, you know what? I think that's a good idea right there.
I'm not sure. I don't really, because I really always just look at the past basically when I want to do something new. But I think the Britney piece was maybe like the weirdest one I painted, like the one that she's holding her father's head, basically, that she beheaded. So so that might be like the weirdest one I did so far.
I like how you added so far at the end. There was a slight pause there.
Yeah.
Like, more weirdness to come. What are your favorite colors?
Oh my God.
I know.
It's like asking a musician, what's your favorite note? It's like, because depending on I don't know. I would say, oh God. I'm panicking right now. If I had to choose one, let's say that I like.
Choose three. You could choose three.
Okay. So I'd have green. I'd have blue and red, I think.
Okay.
I regret it immediately. I
love asking artists that question because they panic so much.
So
like,
mean.
Oh no.
It's so mean.
You're like this. I've asked a writer. I was like, so what's your favorite font? They're like, screw you. So this is the so I got two left. What is like your sort of comfort meal? You've been working, you've been burning the midnight oil, as it were. What is that comfort meal? It doesn't have to be healthy. It has to be good. Spaghetti?
Spaghetti. I can have spaghetti for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like, I have to like control myself over spaghetti. Like, that's really that's crazy. Like, I'll eat like 3 full-grown men's portions. Like, it's like I'll be like hurting. Yeah, spaghetti is a problem, but it's also like it's the best.
Yeah, I need to figure out what's so good about the spaghetti that you're enjoying.
I don't know. Like, and not every noodle has this quality. Also, like, rigatonis don't cut it for me. Like, it's spaghetti.
Rigatoni. See, you're gonna have the rigatoni people coming after me now. So I heard this thing on this podcast that you did. All right, so this is the last one I got for you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in terms of like pop culture, memes, things of that nature. What is something that always makes you laugh? Some people like cat videos for some reason. Some people like really dank memes. What is something, because you have humor, levity in your work. So what is something that always makes you laugh?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. So many things make me laugh.
Give me a list. I'm here for it. We got,
Oh. Okay, so I'm obsessed right now with like Karen videos. Like I spend my entire day today just like watching them, but like I don't think it's funny. I think it's tragic, to be honest. Like these Karens, all they need is like love. So that's one that I'm enjoying. What makes me laugh other than that? Trump is hilarious, like not in a good way. But still, Trump always makes me laugh. It's crazy the shit that comes out of his mouth. What else makes me laugh? Cats that are like scared and are just like jumping and like are freaking out. Cats are great for that. Yeah, I guess that.
A lot of internet culture there out here, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's actually it for the podcast.
Okay,
cool. I think we got a lot of stuff done. So
I think so.
One, I want to thank you for coming on to the podcast, spending some time with me, and we got it. I'm glad we got it done.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, 100%. And two, I want to invite and encourage you to share with the listeners, like, this is the shameless plug portion. Tell the listeners your website, social media, all of that good stuff where they can check
Yes.
more of your work, get those Canadian numbers up. I gotta get my Canadian numbers up.
Yes, so you can find me on social media, Roxy Peroxide with Y's, like Y, Roxy with a Y, Peroxide with a Y, roxyperoxide.com, TikTok the same. I have a solo show coming up this month of August with Station 16 in Montreal. Then I'm doing Miami Art Basel again this year with Mortal Machine, my gallery in Louisiana. And then also I'll be participating in the beautiful Bizarre magazine show. And I can't remember the date. I just had them, but like it's going to be next year. So those are the three things I'm going to be working on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks to you.
And there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Roxanne Sauriol Hauenherm for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee, saying that there's art and culture in and around your neck of the woods. You've just got to look for it.